Hi friends, it's been a while since I've been out in the garden and we've had some beautiful sunny days. It is early May and I've decided to get some of my sunflowers in the ground. So at this time of year, I'm just trying to do what I can when I can. And I had planted some pro-cut sunflower seeds in kind of a winter sowing type situation, except for it was early spring when I planted them. And you know, sunflowers grow so fast. So I've got to get them out of that container. So let's do that today. So let me show you what I have. So here is the container, the plastic container. I think this had mushrooms in it and was a Costco buy. So it was a nice deep container, fairly deep. And it had the lid, which obviously I had to take off pretty soon because sunflowers do grow really quick. And you can see I've got some nice plants in there, and this is a mix of the plum and the white, I believe, the Pro Cut series. So these are kind of cutting sunflowers, so they have one bloom, I believe. And I can see it looks like I also have some other seeds that got mixed in here. I'm not 100% sure what those are, but we'll find out. So I wanted to get these planted today, and I'll show you where I'm going to plant. So here's our driveway, and over on this side here we have a border with our neighbors. And in this border, I've got a bunch of things going on. So these two plants here are white pillar hibiscus. So they're kind of a good border plant because they stay kind of more skinny and tall rather than wide. And then I put in this new obelisk here with a clematis on it. And that clematis looks like it's doing pretty well. You can see I've got some blooms or buds on there, so that should bloom. And I've got calendula, which self-seeds every year. So this is gold heart orange. It's beautiful, so vibrant, so eye-catching, and blooms pretty early. So this was just something that kind of reseeds itself. You can see it's kind of seeded itself in the gravel here. And I just let it go because it's such a vibrant, beautiful color. I actually had to pull some of it to make room. Also, I have lots of cosmos that have self-seeded here. You can see all these cosmos. They're really good self-seeders. So those I'm gonna probably thin out and just put in the ones that I wanna keep. And then just looking down, we have, this is a Kwanzaa cherry tree. It had its blooms. The blooms are gone now, but it was beautiful. I have a lilac on standard, which is blooming now. I have to stake this because it does have a lean to it. But the scent on these are so beautiful. So I thought that'd be a nice border plant for my neighbors because they park here and then they can enjoy the scent when they get out of their car. Under planting, I have another clematis. I just can't get enough clematis, obviously. I planted that at the base so it can kind of grow up the trunk of the lilac on standard. This one also has buds on it, so very encouraging. I might have to kind of train that a little bit more. Last year I put some lavender on both sides, so that'll be a kind of a nice purple area. And these kind of self-seeders here, these are feverfew. So feverfew is kind of like, it was like a wildflower mix, I think, that my mom kind of threw out here one year, and we've had it ever since. So I might thin that this year because there's quite a bit of them, and I'm not the biggest fan. And I can't remember what these two plants are. I'm thinking perhaps maybe they're a type of veronica. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. I've got some weeds here, of course, and then I have some lilies. Oh, so I had some lily bulbs and I didn't know what to do with, so I just put them here. Beautiful sedum here. I think this is autumn fire. Great place to have a sedum because, you know, it's a dry, hot area. Here I have a rose that's looking good. And then there's just a boxwood here just to kind of keep people from driving over that. A lot of people use this as a turnaround. So I'm gonna find somewhere in here to put my sunflowers because it is a very hot, dry area, and I think some height here would be nice. So let's see, I'm thinking maybe along here is the space that's available. And I did put two lavenders that I had overwintered. I got them on clearance at the end of the season. This one was a bigger one, this one was a smaller one. This one's looking really good. This one a little bit less good, but it does have some green on it, so I'm hoping it'll rebound. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put them in here. So let's do that, and I'll show you what it looks like after. All right, so I have my plants, and I have this little tool here, which I find very helpful for taking seedlings out. It is just a very thin Fiskars plastic little trowel, mini trowel, and it has like measurements on it as well. So I had to do a little bit of weeding. I have this really annoying weed called horsetail, which is everywhere, and its roots just go on and on. So, you know, I try to get the roots, but they're all connected. It spreads like by rhizomes, I believe. So yeah, it's hard to get rid of. Like here's an example of it right here, and it's the most annoying weed. But anyways, I'm gonna try to gently kind of take these out. I think sunflowers don't like to be transplanted, so I'm gonna try to be very, very gentle. And then this is really dry, so I'm gonna give it a water right away. All right, we've finished planting these or transplanting these sunflowers. They're looking a little floppy just because I gave them a nice shower with water, but they'll perk up, I think. And I've got a bunch of them here and then just along here. And we'll see how they do because these are cutting sunflowers. So yeah, I don't know if you know, they're cut it once and done, but I think that's how it goes with Pro Cut Plum, and Pro Cut White Knight is the other one. But I'm eager to see if they will grow here and do well. This is a very sandy soil, so gave them a deep water, and we have some rain forecasted. So glad to get that done. Right now I'm on a planting spree. I'm trying to get all my seedlings planted as soon as possible. I'm gonna turn to the other side of the driveway here just because I gave this a good water as well. And you know, one of the things that drives me crazy is I can't tell if something is a weed or if I planted that. So I think this is a weed called willow herb, but then it looks a lot like phlox, so I'm always a little bit uncertain. Like that one back there is the same. So I'm pretty sure it's a weed, but I'm gonna leave it a little bit longer just to make sure. And then it looks like I have some plant here that I can't recall, but I think it might be pincushion flower, so leaving that. But my pulmonaria are pretty much at the end, and they bloomed for absolutely weeks. Such an amazing early spring bloomer. Actually, like the only thing blooming in this garden in early spring was this amazing pulmonaria, and you can kind of see that it's at the end because the blooms are dried up, and probably they just need a good cutback at some point. You can see they're kind of not flopping, but you know, are kind of tired, and can't blame them. They've done a really great job. My Shadowland wee hosta, which was absolutely nothing, like nothing at all, has come up, so I'm very excited to see that. Some baby pulmonaria next to it. My wee white hydrangea has some leaves on it. And the other thing I was excited to see, first of all, how beautiful are these little like bubblegum pink blooms. So gorgeous. I believe this is a spearmint heuchera or heucherella. I can't remember right now, but I have that one of my older videos. This is a thalictrum that I put in last year. It's got these delicate little blooms. This is like the only plant I have of this type, this thalictrum. Just love the leaves. Look at the leaves. So unique. And then the stems have this like deep purple. So nice. And yeah, I think I planted that in the video. But looking at my heuchera, they generally look to be doing really well. And I've noticed there's way more weeds on this side of the bed where I didn't sheet mulch. So that's a good lesson, is that, you know, if I think about skipping sheet mulching, don't skip it, because now I have a lot of weeding to do in this bed. Anyways, just flipping over to this side, I have my salvia starting to put on its buds. And this one is, I think it's called Perfect Profusion, and it's already starting to bloom. This is a Gracewort Lithodaria. It actually looks really beautiful with those blue blooms. There's a weed in there I've got to grab. This is my dahlia, which overwintered and is coming back. So I was experimenting, trying to just leave the tuber in the ground, and it seems to have worked, at least for that. This is a Proven Winners annual. I think it's a lobelia or lobularia, and it overwintered for me. And I have a couple more, but they don't look as great, but this one did really well. So that was exciting to see. So I have these trio of heuchera here. I think they might be toffee tart. And I was excited to see that this one, which is a frilly heuchera, is coming back. And then I have these tiny ones here, which I thought I had lost. I think those are the toffee tart, but they're there, so hopefully they survive. They're obviously not nearly as kind of robust as the wild berry, and then the mahogany monster that I have here. I gotta say, like the mahogany monster and wild berry, they are definitely the ones that will kind of make it through tough conditions. So I think those are the ones that I will probably stick to planting more of. Okay, and just swinging around here, I've got my Pinky Winky hydrangea on standard. And on both sides of that, I have a salvia, which I believe is Caradonna. I planted last year, and I'm very impressed with the salvia. It is doing amazing. You can see how tall it is, and it's covered in these beautiful buds. So very excited about that one. I think that was a good choice for that location. And I'm gonna swing around to show you this corner garden bed, which is fairly new. So let's go take a look. Just gonna stand in the shade here a bit. So I had added this little tiny bump out extension earlier this year, and I had put in 3 salvia, which are, I wasn't unsure if they were gonna do well here because it is under a tree. So it is a little bit shaded, and I wasn't sure if they would get enough sun. But as you can see, they have tons of buds. And I think that's perfect profusion salvia. So I've got 3 of those, and they're doing really well, and I'm really happy to see that. So I think that is definitely a winner there. I did pop in this pulmonaria here because I thought it was a shady area, but it's not really doing the best. So I think I'm gonna take that out and relocate it in the backyard. Also have this hellebore, which I believe is an ice and roses variety, and it kind of took a beating last year when there was some work being done. So I kind of unearthed it this year. I watered it, kind of washed off the dirt or the soil off of it. So it's kind of in a recovery mode. It didn't really bloom this year. And again, I think it might be too sunny for it here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it one more year, see how it does, and then maybe next year I might move it. Here I have a hydrangea, Miss Soury, which is this beautiful burgundy color. And this is a summer blooming hydrangea with the most beautiful blooms. I can't wait till that blooms. So I'm hoping this year, because it was planted I think last year, hopefully it blooms this year. And I had put in this rose campion. This has just jumped up in size so much. It has probably tripled in size at least. And you can see it has this like beautiful silvery foliage. It's like this trio of just this not only silvery foliage, but also very, very soft leaves. And it has the most vibrant flowers when it blooms. So that is a wonderful plant. Like, it's kind of my substitute for lamb's ear because you get the beautiful silvery foliage, the softness, and you don't have to really cut it back. It self-seeds. So if you like that, like the person I got this from, they told me that once you have rose campion, you will have it in your garden forever, which I'm like, that's not a bad thing. And then here is my Boscabel rose, which has some buds on it now. So this is, I think, only its 2nd season. Looking very healthy. I don't see any signs of kind of black spot or any kind of aphids. Just gave that a water. So I think that one is doing really well. And hopefully we see some beautiful blooms this year. And again, like, I have some lilies scattered around this plant here, around this lilac tree on standard, just because lilies do multiply, then I never know what to do with them. I'm not the biggest fan of them. They just like bloom so briefly and then they're gone, so not my favorite. But and then I have this lilac on standard, which is just beautiful. Like, when I was just walking around this bed, the scent was just amazing. And I put it here because we do have a lot of people walk in the evenings, and I put it right by the sidewalk so everybody can enjoy this lovely scent. And last year I was a little bit concerned about this because the leaves were not looking great. They were kind of like had speckling and yellow, and it looks like they look really healthy now. So, you know, I did fertilize it a little bit, and hopefully it's going to be healthy and it's going to stay here for a very long time. Now, the other star of the show is my Amsonia. So this is the Proven Winners Amsonia Storm Cloud. I love this plant. I just love the color. So you can see it's a little bit sunny here, so I apologize for that, and a little breezy. Look how beautiful these blooms are, and the color, this periwinkle blue, just stunning. And like the stems, they have this dark stem, and they disappear, but they'll come up in spring as these shoots, so like these dark shoots. And you know, in winter people will pile snow up on here, and they've come through beautifully. So I was a little bit concerned, but they've come through. So I really like that color. This one's a little less robust than this one, so I apologize for the brightness here. But the last thing I wanted to show you is I do have some lavender. So when these go out of bloom, the lavender will come into bloom. So let me get out of the way here. So I have this beautiful large lavender here. It's doing really well. And then the other two, so here's a smaller one, and then the smallest one. So I might have to replace that one just because it's so much smaller, and I want a really nice robust one there. And again, that might be because this is, you know, the corner of the sidewalk and driveway, so people might drive over this, or you know, in the winter they might pile snow or something on there. So that it's a tough spot, let's just say. But oh, I wish you guys could smell the flowers of this lilac. It's just so amazing. So excited to see what happens next in this garden. And it's not all positive news. So this is underneath this tree here that I have. So this tree is doing really well. You can see it's blooming. It has like these kind of white blooms that fade to this yellow color. I can't remember what kind of tree it is. I did plant it, but it's got these beautiful leaves, and then they're green and they also turn this purple color. Anyways, so down here I had crocus that bloomed. I have a clematis in there, and I really have to weed this bed. It is just covered in clover. I have some, looks like little trees growing that I have to pull out. Those are so hard to pull out, and the longer you leave them, the harder they get to pull. So yeah, I really have to kind of think about this and revamp this bed. So this was not really meant to be a garden tour, but couldn't help but show you these spring blooms. And lastly, while I'm here, I might as well show you that my daffodils have kind of fizzled out, and I'm just letting the foliage die back so they can store their energy, and then I'll cut all of it back because it looks a little bit messy. But I had to show you the phlox. Look at that phlox blooming like crazy. So I was debating taking this phlox out because, you know, it's just like this evergreen mat of green, and I kind of wanted to use it as a mulch, ground cover mulch, keep the weeds at bay, which it has done. And when it blooms, it looks lovely, but the thing is, it just blooms for such a short period, and it's just a high vis location, but I'm not sure if I want to leave it there. I have another patch right here, which is not as strong as the first one. And then this here is my alyssum, which I planted last year. I thought it was an annual and planted in this bed. This is the only one that has come back, and it's thriving, and it smells amazing. It blooms for such a long time. I love this plant, so I definitely got more of that. And this here is my purple pillar hibiscus. And I also wanted to share with you this bloomerang lilac. So this lilac is doing amazing. It's actually blooming later than a lot of other people's lilacs in town have been blooming for already, and this one has just kind of come into full bloom now. Isn't that gorgeous? It smells amazing. So this lilac, like I said, it's the bloomerang Proven Winners lilac. And you can see that I have a bleeding heart, a white one back there, bleeding heart alba. But I had also put this peony here, and I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that peony would get sun there, but clearly that is not a good spot because it's completely shaded out by this gorgeous lilac. So I have to move that peony. When the time is right, I will relocate that. And then of course the tulip bulbs, I'm letting them fade away. The other thing I wanted to show you is this gorgeous candy tuft. I purchased this candy tuft at the Northwest Home and Garden Show and Flower and Garden Show in Seattle, and this is just so gorgeous. Look how big those blooms are, and it's in a shaded area under this rose bush, so I put it there kind of to hide the legs. And I thought I would try one out first, but I am sold, so I have to have more candy tuft for sure. I'm really trying to up my spring blooming game so that I have blooms earlier on in the season, because when you come out of winter here, when it's gray and gloomy all the time, you really are just so happy to see any kind of blooms in your garden. So definitely getting more candy tuft. And then this is my Crown Princess Margarita Rose. So you can see it's quite large, and it has buds, lots of buds. I did top dress this with compost last year, so I think that actually did help a lot. And looks like this one is a little bit of a weak stem, so I might have to cut that back. It looks like somebody maybe walked along here and knocked that one. Anyways, on this little corner I have a lot of weeding to do, but I'm happy to see my columbine came back, and that does self-seed itself. So this is little baby columbine. Last year I put this coreopsis in, this trio of coreopsis, so I'm excited to see how that does. And this is I think it's called Kitten Around. It's a catmint, and it looks like it's doing amazing in that spot. So already blooming, not bothered by the fact that it's bound on both sides by driveway, so it's doing really well. And then these two are echinacea that I've got here. This one looks better than that one. So that's the one thing I find about planting is, you know, you can put like a trio in, and then if the plants aren't performing the same, it's like uneven. So for example, I've got beautiful lavender, not so good. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you that, and I wish I had smell-o-vision, because the scent on these is just indescribable. Like, if you can have a lilac in your garden, get one, because the scent is worth it. Like, they only bloom for a short period and then they're just green, and then they're deciduous, but definitely worth it. So beautiful. Cannot describe how amazing it smells right now, right here. So thanks for joining me, and I'll wrap it up for today.